3, 2, 1, go.
Namaskaram. In our earlier video, we have covered what kind of a girl should a guy be marrying or probably should be considering for marriage. Now let's move on to the other side. What kind of guy a girl should be looking for? First of all, there is a difference in both of these aspects because the criteria which generally a guy uses would be very different from a girl. And also, looking at the practical scenario right now, I'm not trying to get into the judgmental or the morality of it, which is correct or which is wrong. Those are kept for a separate discussion. Here we are just looking at the situation as it is. Right now our society is still oriented towards patriarchy. This women empowerment or women equality is still in that transition process. It is a welcome change, but we are not yet there. So considering this or taking the ground reality of the situation, because even today when both the couple or both the people are working, but fundamentally by default there is a tendency, especially in southern part of India, that the household affairs are predominantly the responsibility of the woman. Both women and men are in the similar thought process, and which is slowly changing. Even men should contribute to this, but as it stands, that is the understanding. In this context, there are certain things which any girl should definitely take into consideration before you are going for your right guy. Number one, the most important attribute which a woman should look for is respect. The reason why I did not quote this for a guy is because by default men demand or command respect from women, and because the current platform is like this, even if you look at your father's generation or any of the earlier generations, basically even if you look at the marriage customs, the guy is placed slightly, if not more, above the girl. So by default the guy gets some respect. The other way around is not happening, and which is the primary cause for all this oppression, exploitation and all forms of things which are counterproductive for women. So make sure that the guy respects women in general and you in particular. So spend enough time to get reasonable clarity that the guy can respect you. Respect is not an attribute, it is an ability. One person respecting the other person is very important. So there are people who will shun off your profession or who will shun off your ambitions. So those are the kind of people you should preferably avoid, no matter how rich he is or how good the family background it is. You should demand or you should deserve your basic respect. Moving on to the next aspect, understanding. Women are having a greater depth in their personality, are having a greater depth in their attitude. So they do not open up, and also their situational analysis is pretty good, and most importantly their responsiveness or their reaction will be a bit slow, not instantaneous, not spontaneous, because they have the ability to control their emotions. So the other person or the man who you are looking for should have that patience, should have that willingness to go beyond what you are saying, and also to think beyond what exactly you are progressing, because there is a good chance that there are some things. I mean, to make this simpler, the man should understand your silence. Your sounds of silence should be loud enough to the particular guy or man you are looking for. So number one is respect. Number two is somebody who understands your silence. Number three, right now we are in a patrilineal or patriarchal society where the girl shifts, leaves her family and comes into the guy's family and tries to fit in there. So understand that this is only a transition, not a permanent disabandonment or not a permanent dissection from your own family. Be very particular about this aspect, that your relation with your dad or your mom or your siblings would not change significantly. You have your family, the relation stays intact, and this is only an addendum to your existing family. Make sure that the guy and also the guy's family is open to this fact. And many of the guys and their families are in the notion that they are doing you a favor or doing a favor to the girl's family by marrying you. If somebody is in that pitiful mentality, please avoid that. Here I am not trying to generalize everything, but these are some of the types, or these are some of the mentalities which you would ideally move away from. And if somebody, and also make sure that don't judge somebody basically or entirely on this. It might be because of the societal dogma, somebody might be in that thinking. Understand his openness. If somebody is getting convinced, or if somebody has the courage, if somebody has the ability to open up, to consider things, or to think from your point of view, or step into your shoes or step into your heels, and then understand, although he has not thought about this earlier, it is also a welcome sign. But please, before you look out for the six pack, or before you look for the muscular build up, these are some of the important aspects which have to be considered at any cost. And if you are a working woman, also don't leave it to the chance, don't keep your career depend upon the prayers or dependent on the mood of the guy. Don't do that. Make sure that, tell him properly that this is the kind of profession which I will be engaged in, and this is how I want it to be managed. And even from the girl side, and even for you, don't be very stringent about your work timings and all, because you have to understand that you are going to be the mother, and men cannot get pregnant. Please get this straight. So there are some basic biological differences where the woman might have to play a far more significant role, because I believe that women are far more capable in terms of managing a family, and that 9 month span, the career aspect pans in a different way for women compared to men. So here I am not judging who should do what, but I am just telling you that these are the practical aspects. So from your side as well, so give that reasonable discounting factor. Because of being a woman, your responsibility will be slightly higher at the initial stages, especially when you are thinking to get a child, or initial stages of parenting. So once you are done with the basics, next come into the most controversial aspects. One is your financial aspect. Right now the tendency is still there about the financial, the pin money, or pocket money, or the dowry, however you might call it. So there is some level of disturbance. I am sure that this concept will go in the near future, probably the next 4 to 5 years. This will already, it has diluted drastically, but it's still there. So in this junction, this is again in a transition phase. It is very difficult for anybody to discuss this openly, but this is still happening. So instead of looking at it idealistically, instead of looking at it what's the ideal scenario, make sure that you are taking up a practical approach, because you are still in that transition phase. So when you want to work, please make sure that you convince your idea, you convince your logic to both your parents and also their parents. Here it is not appropriate to blame only the guy's side or one particular side, because understand that when you ask your own mom, when you ask your own dad, even they might be in a position where they would be telling you that give preference to the guy's family, guy's priorities. So it's the general thinking in the society as such. So I wish it will change, and I'm sure it will change, but in the transition process, please be flexible enough to manage both this aspect, to make sure that you bring everybody into confidence. So I believe if two families, say a family of 4 and family of 4 is integrating, the girl is the most important player in this entire arena. So please strengthen yourself, and please buckle up yourself. And although there might be some initial setbacks, make sure that you face them properly without losing your patience, without losing your confidence, and be yourself and be firm, and also make sure you are flexible enough so that you are the facilitation factor between these two families. So I believe this gave you a very initial understanding of what kind of things you should be careful about the guy while you are beginning with. And there are far more intricate aspects. I'm not talking about the body language in particular, not talking about the language in particular, because there are little things where we'll do a separate video on all of this, how to judge a person. We'll do that separately, but for now make sure that the macros are sorted. And as always take guidance from your seniors or your friends who have married before you and who are having a decent life. And if you have any other concerns or any further concerns, you can always reach out to him through our new channel or our page Him Talks. So happy to help you out, and namaskaram.